Next question. Otikata was asking, how relevant is Ramit Sethi's philosophy of preferring renting over buying housing in today's current interest rate environment? And I guess also with housing prices being at record highs, right?
Depends on
So
the location.
yeah, it depends on a few things. I actually have a pretty strong opinion on this. For anybody that doesn't know, in high school and right after high school, I was actually in the mortgage business and I worked for some of the largest national home builders in the US. And I've seen thousands and thousands of scenarios of people that couldn't afford houses at all to people that were just buying second homes with cash and all types of different timeframes. And so I, as far as I understand Ramit's argument, it's like, look, the old school belief of like you have to buy a house and that's a responsible investment. It's not necessarily true for everybody. And I think renting does make sense in a lot of cases. The first thing you want to look at is time frame. Like if you're going to buy a place and you don't know that you're going to own it for at least 5 to 10 years, it's probably not worth buying. The other thing too is looking at the true cost of owning a home versus renting. And if you can try to do like an apples to apples comparison there, because with owning a home, your major costs are, if you have a mortgage, what's the interest rate, property taxes, which could vary greatly depending on where you are, homeowners insurance, maintenance. I think those are kind of the major ones. But if you look at what the true cost is, and that true cost is typically about 5% of the value of the home per year. Again, that can vary by a percentage or two. But if you compare that with what it costs to rent in a certain area, say it's, to own a home that you would really enjoy being in, say it's like $3,000 a month, but you can rent a similar or basically the same home for $2,000. And then you look at the opportunity cost, say I can take that extra $1,000 and invest it somewhere else. Those are kind of the comparisons you want to do. So there's not like a right answer for everybody. It really depends on your time frame. Obviously, can you afford it and how are you going to finance it? And then what are the other options that you have available to you?
Yeah, no, I think that's really well said. The only thing I would add on is, look at the rental yields and see what they are in your existing market. Rental yield being the amount of rent per year that you'd pay over the cost of the home, right? And in some markets, like in really really hot markets like San Francisco, where prices of homes get so far out of whack with incomes, you have this situation where rental yields become really really low, and so it actually might make sense to rent in those markets because people are buying houses with capital, not with like based on income. And so rental yields can get squeezed down really low, meaning buying a home, the price of the home gets way out of whack relative to incomes, and meanwhile rent is on a relative basis actually reasonable still. So
Yeah.
so in those cases, maybe that is a clue as well to look at your individual market and say, well, what are the rental yields, and what are home prices relative to income levels, medium income levels in this area? And then of course, all the individual factors that Chris mentioned, like your time frame and how much house you can afford and what your lifestyle factors are and things like that. But yeah, I think that those are all clues that can help you figure out if you're going to be financially better off renting versus owning.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nikki, anything else from the financial planner perspective?
No, I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head with that one. And, an example that I'm close to is in the city I live in, living downtown is very expensive to buy. It makes way more sense to rent, in the heart of the city than buy. So I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel guilty about it. A lot of people, it's called rent shaming. A lot of people have rent shamed others and said, "You're dumb for not buying a home. That's a waste of money. Rent's throwing away money." And that's just not the case. I don't ascribe to that at all. And I think that it just depends on, like you guys said, the lifestyle you want to live. Do you want to be downtown where it's expensive to live? That may make more sense to rent. Do you want to be in the suburbs? That may make more sense to buy. So I think that it just depends.